Hey, it's Abdullah, and this is the Nokia E66. This phone was released in 2008 and it's easily one of my favorite Nokia devices from that era. And this is because it offers a perfect balance between productivity and elegance. So let's talk about all of its quirks and features and some of the weaknesses it had that were relevant for the time. My first impression is it's a lot smaller than I remember it to be. The first and one of the most important aspects of this phone is that it had a stainless steel design, combined with plastic for some of the elements. And it was also considered quite thin for its time, as you can see. The build quality is also excellent and the sliding mechanism is just super satisfying. Have a listen. The phone was initially launched in bronze and white, and then in a black and red. This is the only phone that I personally bought twice, once in bronze and then replaced it with black. So you can say it was love at first sight. I'm personally a huge fan of the shiny metallic black finish that this phone has. Seriously, not enough can be said about this sliding mechanism. It's springy, it's perfect, it's solid, it's so satisfying. The back plate on the E66 is made out of stainless steel and it had a very specific pattern, and every different color had a specific pattern. And it was also removable. So by pressing on the two buttons, one on each side, the back plate pops out. It had a red power on and off button, which was an interesting design choice for such an elegant looking device and definitely controversial. The front has a 2.4-inch QVGA display, which was considered nice for its time. And one of my favorite aspects was all the shortcut keys, which were available on the front. So these were fantastic for productivity. And they only showed their icon once the device was lit up, adding to the super sleek look when the device wasn't in use. On the right hand side and between the volume rocker buttons, there was a voice tag button. So you click it and you can access all the voice tags and audio notes that you've taken. The back had a 3.15 megapixel camera, which also supported autofocus. There was also a tiny mirror right under the camera, which helped you take pictures of yourself, and a single LED flash. I personally love how they've integrated this camera into the design. It's very cool. And you can even take pictures using the two-stage shutter key, which was on the side of the device. I really miss these shutter keys and I wish they'd really come back. It was quite cool. The T9 keypad was one of the most comfortable and clicky ones available on a phone of this form factor. I absolutely loved using this for typing and texting. The phone even had an infrared port, which you can see over here, right underneath the micro USB port, which was used for file transfers. The E66 came with 110 megabytes of internal storage, and it also shipped with a 2 gigabytes memory card. The battery had a generous 1000 milliamps capacity, and that was quite good for such a small form factor. And you can see the very interesting solution to integrating the speaker grill into the bottom half of the body. There is even a lanyard hole too, and I'm happy to see that this feature has come back on the XR20. As for headphones, you had to rely on the old 2.5mm headphone jack standard. Let's talk about the software. So the E66 ran on Symbian S60 version 9.2 with Feature Pack 1, and it also had a couple of E-series specific exclusive features. And naturally, the phone had quite a strong performance thanks to a 369 MHz single-core processor and 128 megabytes of RAM. It was even capable of some basic gaming, and I would say the device was quite smooth and quick. It even supported dual home screens, so you could switch between something that's more work-orientated and something that's more personal and for multimedia. And E-series devices had their own theme, which looked classy and elegant, so the icons were very different compared to the N-series of devices. I was personally a huge fan of this, and the device also supported multiple themes too. It also had a powerful email application which supported so many different clients. And of course, Symbian had a very powerful music player capable of playing so many different formats, and it also gave you so many customization options. The phone even shipped with 3 months of free turn-by-turn navigation. And the battery capacity, thanks to how efficient Symbian is, easily lasted you at least 1 day of usage. So what were the issues with the E66? For a start, the tiny rear firing speaker just wasn't very loud. And the 3.15 megapixel camera was mediocre at best, and it only managed to record QVGA video at 15 frames per second, which was really poor. And finally, you had to settle for the 2.5mm headphone jack standard, which was becoming rarer and rarer by the day, so you needed to find very specific headphones that would work on this old format. In conclusion, this was one of my favorite Nokia devices before touchscreens. The hardware alone was enough to steal my heart really, but it was also combined with powerful software and excellent practicality. Shame about that camera though, but I still remember this device very, very fondly. Anyways, that's it from me. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. Liking these videos really helps the channel grow, so I really appreciate when you do that for me. And I'll see you in the next one pretty soon.